Welcome to our session on getting started with Teams. We'll be going over the essentials for working remotely from home using Teams. My name is Dylan, and I work with a Microsoft Gold partner called Smart Data Software Services in the Vancouver area of Canada. Teams is Microsoft's leading collaboration software, which enables you to chat, share, and work on files together with people both inside and outside of your company. Teams is included with most Microsoft Office 365 subscriptions and also available as a free trial. Our intention with this is to help you get rapidly familiar with working through Teams. If you're with us live, please feel welcome to ask questions about Teams in chat. You can also email us at info@smartdata.ca if you have questions after the session has ended. Microsoft, as well as the Microsoft community, also has excellent training material that is freely available. Just search up Microsoft Teams training on YouTube for more videos, or go to office.com for free training published by Microsoft. Here's what we're going to cover. Most notably, if you are not familiar with how to troubleshoot audio issues, you should stay until the end for that part. The rest will cover Teams. I'll show you how to download Teams to your computer, how to communicate and collaborate with your coworkers through Teams, and other essentials. I'll share some very useful Teams settings, as well as basic profile customizations. Lastly, I'll share tips on how to troubleshoot device issues you might have with your microphone or speakers. The first step is to get into the Teams application. I'll show you what that looks like. So in my browser here, I'm going to go to teams.microsoft.com, and it's going to ask me to log in. You'll usually just be able to use your company email login here, but you can also use a Microsoft account to log in, such as a Gmail account. But for me, I'm going to use my company account. If your company is already using Office 365, you might already have a license for Teams. Otherwise, you may see something before this that asks you if you want to start a free trial. You do. My account here already has a license. And so we have two options here. We can either get the Windows app or use the web app instead. They're suggesting you use the Windows app. We would also recommend that because if you get the downloadable version, you can do a lot of customizations to it, which is good for setting up your workspace. So you click on that, and it's going to start downloading the Windows, the Teams application. It has its installer, and I already have it installed, and the instructions are pretty good on the installer. So I'll just leave that for you, and I will skip forward to once it's already installed. Teams can support communication in multiple ways. Firstly, there's text chat as well as audio or video calls. You can also share your desktop, which can be extremely useful when working together. It's also very useful for your company's IT if you're able to show them your screen so that they can walk through any issues with you. I'll show you both of these in a few minutes. So I'm going to open up Teams here. Here it is, Teams. And I'll go through these things on the left here. The first one here is activity. Activity gives you a live update on anywhere that you've been mentioned or where people have been responding to conversations that you've been in. This is useful when you're sitting down after being away for a bit, because it'll show you all the conversations that have been happening maybe while you've been gone. The next tab here is chat. Chat is where you send text messages and launch voice or video calls with people or with groups of people. Take a look at these options here at the top right. We have video call, audio call, sharing your screen, and then there's also adding people. These first three are going to start a video call with that person. Same thing with sharing your screen. It'll start a call, but I'll be asking to share my screen with them. This last option will create a new group chat with whoever else I add. And that's separate from the communications that I've had with this person already. So I'm going to send a chat message to my brother just by typing in right here. I type in test message. And so you can see there's test message there. So that's good if you want to do chat messages. Otherwise, if you want to launch a voice call or something, you would click on these options up here. So that's the basics of chat. That's how you can chat. You would select somebody here and then you can chat away. The next thing I'm going to show you is Teams. So this is the Teams tab of Teams. So Teams is a place where you can set up groups for file sharing and collaboration. If you're working on a project, it can be helpful to organize it as a team. This depends on your organization's settings, but you can usually just go ahead and create a team when you need to. Some companies will have a process for creating teams. You might want to talk to your IT, but I'll just show you how to create one on your own. On the left here you have Teams, so you just make sure you're in this tab. Then at the very bottom, you can click on Join or Create a Team. So here, and then you click Create Team, and click Build a Team from Scratch. For most situations, you will likely want your team to be private. Private means that you control the membership, so you need to invite people to the group in order for them to see the things inside. Public means that anybody can join it. That includes guest users. So normally you're going to want to use private. Your team, I'm going to give the team name. Call it 6, Demo Team 6. And description here, that is a very useful thing because when somebody's getting an invite to the team, sometimes just the name alone isn't quite enough. So a description can be helpful too. And then you just click create here. So that's going to create the team. And afterwards, you also get the option to add members right into that team. So for me, I'm going to add my brother. And click add. And so what it's done is it's added him as a member. There are 2 ranks for teams. There's owner and member. Owner, I'm an owner, for instance. When I create a team, by default, whoever creates it is the owner. There's a little bit of a difference between the two. Like an owner, they can change the name of the team. They can invite or remove people. They can create new owners or change the ranking of other people. For my brother, I trust my brother, so I'm gonna make him an owner. And then I can click close there. So here's the team. So we have our demo team 6, general channel here. We have posts here. And so you can chat within the team by just typing in here. So I'll go test. And there you can see it's posted, I posted something to the team. A common mistake that people make when they are chatting with teams is they will start new conversations rather than replying to existing conversations. The way to reply is you actually click on this reply button here, and I'll type in reply, send, and you can see how it kind of nests underneath. What that means is that I've added to this person's conversation, and that will notify them. It'll also notify the people who are also in that conversation. But if I started a new one, for instance, by typing in here, so new convo, you can see how it didn't nest. It created it as its own new conversation, separate from what was there before. So that's the basics of Teams. That's how to create one and how to post things. In addition to that, there's files. So there's this tab here, files. If I upload something as an attachment to the chat, it'll show up in the files here, and you'll be able to access files here. The next tab I'm going to go over is calendar. So calendar is very similar to if you use an Outlook calendar. It's kind of the same thing. It's going to show you the meetings that you have this week. You can also set up meetings specifically through Teams here, to set up like video calls and things like that. Next tab down is calls. So calls is just a dashboard for voice or video calls. It makes it a little bit easier to call people who you've frequently called. Next tab is files. So file shows you an overview of the files that you have recently edited. If you have edited something recently, you can't really remember where it is, maybe it wasn't obvious where it was, you can check here and it's going to show you everything that you've recently edited. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to add other apps. So Planner and OneNote, those are other apps I've added. To add other ones, you click on these three dots here. There's a few different apps you can add. There's also more. There's a bunch. There's so many of them. You might find something useful here, but otherwise, there's already some apps and stuff. I'll show you, for instance, if I wanted to add one, I want to add a simple one. I'll add help. So it's just personal for me, and it's going to show up on my left menu there. If I want to keep it there after I turn my Teams off and on again, what you have to do is you have to right click it and click on pin. What that's going to do is keep it there when I reboot. Otherwise it will go away and I would have to add it again next time I load up. So next I'm going to explain some useful Teams settings. So there are a few other very useful settings I want to make sure that you know of. The first setting is to auto start the Teams application when you turn on the computer. You can disable this later, so I would suggest turning it on because it makes Teams very easy to find when you turn your computer on. So I'll go back into Teams. At the top right here, you just click on your circle here. So if you haven't added a profile picture yet, it's just going to be some letters. I'll get into how to change that later, but for now, for setting this up, you click on your circle here and then you click on settings. So this first one, you want to check this where it says auto start application. What that's going to do is when you turn your computer on, it will automatically open up Teams. So you turn your computer on and Teams will be right there. The next thing I want to make sure you know of is making a test call. So if you're at all unsure of how your audio or webcam quality is, you can run a test call to confirm whether they're working. So I'll walk you through that. So over on Teams, we're going to click on our picture up here, and we click on Settings. And I think it's in Devices here. There's Make a Test Call. So click on this.
To test your call quality, record a short message after the beep. Then your message will be played back to you.
Testing the audio. Testing the audio. Cool. All right.
If you're happy with the quality of your message, then you've configured Teams correctly. If not, check your device settings and try again.
Okay, yeah. So if you can hear yourself back, then you know that your speaker is working. So the next setting I want to show you is a secondary ringer. So if you're using a headset as your main audio device, but you're working off of like a laptop or something that has its own speaker, you may want to set up a secondary ringer because it helps a lot if you're working from home and you may not always be wearing your headphones. For instance, if you put it down to make a meal or something, having a secondary ringer will allow the ringing from Teams to come out of a second speaker. So you can have it come both out of your headphones and out of your laptop's audio too, which is helpful if you've gotten up and you've taken your headset off. It'll ring out of your laptop as well, so you'll be able to hear it. So I'll show you how to set that up. You click up on your profile here, and click on Settings, and then it's over in Devices. Secondary ringer. Click on this drop down, and then you'll have a choice for your audio channel you want to connect it to. If you're not sure what these are, stick around until that audio troubleshooting section at the end of this. The last one I want to make sure you guys know about is voicemail settings. So voicemail is automatically on and will let people leave a voicemail if they call you when you're away from your computer or if you're too busy. You can record a greeting for it if you want, as well as other things. I'm going to open it up so I can show you guys. Go to settings. And over in calls, there's configure voicemail. So I'm just going to take mine back to default so I can show you it from the beginning. And here you go. So this is where you could record a greeting if you want. Otherwise, you have this thing called call answer rules. This is what I really want to show you. Here, the default is let the caller record a message, but you can also set it to transfer the call to somebody else. So if there's somebody who maybe can answer questions immediately, having it transfer to somebody else can be helpful. My favorite option is this one, which is blending the two, which is let the caller record a message or be transferred to somebody else. So that gives them the choice of either leaving a message or getting transferred. So I'm going to add my brother in there. Okay. Yeah. There's some other voicemail settings there too. One of the things that's in there is you can change your ringtone. So you might want to play around with the ringtone just at least so you know what it sounds like. So when it does ring, you know it's Teams ringing. So let's get a bit further into Teams and customize your profile. So I'm just going to open up Teams again. So it's good to have a profile picture, and you can set yours. You just click up here, click on change picture, and you can upload a picture right there. And the last thing I think I want you guys to know is setting your status. So status is a really useful function. I'll show you how to do that. So up here, there's status. I'm going to remove what I had set before, and you can see the set status message. So you click on that, and then you can set a status. So for my example, I'm going to go out for a bit, back at 3 p.m. And so these statuses are really useful if you want to give some details of your availability. That's a good use for it. So if you're doing that, you can check out show when people message me, and then clear status message after, and you can set it to be just a few hours. So that clear status message after is a really useful feature because a lot of people don't use statuses because they're worried about maybe leaving it on for too long. But using this clear status thing, you can use it a lot more. So lastly, we're at the troubleshooting audio part. So it's very common to have some simple audio issues. Nearly all audio issues come from a very small number of places. The first thing you're going to want to check is how your operating system is handling the audio. I can show you how this works in Windows by opening the sound settings. So I'm going to move my toolbar over here so you guys can see this too. And there's this little sound icon here. If you right click on that and then you go open sound settings, it'll pop open this window. And we have sound output and then we have input. So output is the sound that is coming out of my computer. Input is the sound that is going into my computer through a microphone. And all you want to do here is make sure that these things are set up correctly. And a good way to do this is have a music video or something on in the background, and then you can set that up, let it play, and just flick through these until you can hear something. And then the next one for your microphone is you can just keep talking and saying things. If you see this bouncing up and down, that means that it is picking up audio. And you can just flick through these different ones until you find the one that's right. So close that down. And then secondly to that, you're going to want to make sure Teams is also using those same audio channels. So I just need to get my taskbar back. There we go, I got it back. So over in Teams, I'm going to go to Settings, Devices here. Actually, yeah, okay, so Devices here. And what I want to do is make sure that these channels here are set up the same as my other channels. So right over here. So I have HX headphones, Realtek high definition audio here. Same thing, HX headphones, Realtek high definition audio. Same thing for the microphone. So Realtek high def, and then same thing there. So you just want to make those line up. Alright, well, so hopefully that'll give you everything you need to know to start collaborating remotely through Teams. If you need more info on Teams or have questions that haven't been answered here, use Google or YouTube to find further learning material. There's lots of excellent resources that are publicly available. But for the basics, just ask your coworkers. Sometimes there are things unique to your organization which you would never know if you didn't ask. We'll keep the event open for a few minutes for questions. Otherwise, please feel welcome to email info@smartdata.ca and our team will try and help you out. So thanks for watching.